Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies, inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Midnight viewers to midnight viewing. Now, ordinarily, this would have been Father Malone's Weekly Roundup. In fact, I promised you a Father Malone's Weekly Roundup covering the Sandman television series, which just returned on Netflix. But I was going to fold it into what's going to follow on this, which is a review of Superman I did as a crossover with the Projection Booth and the Kulturecast. Sandman is proving to be quite unwieldy and really worthy of its own episode, so postponed. It'll be on next week. Trust me, it'll be worth it. So what follows is our look at Superman. Hope you enjoy it.
Superman. The most powerful being on planet Earth. We finally meet. Now, as planned, I'll destroy you. And of course, that reporter you always do interviews with. Who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
No matter what you do to me, Luthor, your plans won't work.
Wrap it up.
Good luck with that.
Make a move, Big Blue.
Buckle up.
They chose him. Let them die.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Welcome to a special crossover episode of Midnight Viewing, the Kulturecast, and the Projection Booth. I'm your host, Mike White. Joining me once again is Father Malone.
Look up in the sky.
Also joining us is Mr. Chris Stashew.
If I call you bitch, does that make me Supergirl?
We are gathered to discuss the 2025 film from writer-director, head honcho of DC, James Gunn. It's the story, well, I'm just going to actually reuse the intro I used back in 2021 for Superman the movie. The film stars David Corenswet, Corenswet as the titular Man of Steel. It's neither bird nor plane, but a story of a man whose father gave his only begotten son for the people of Earth and his travails in the mortal realm. He's out to fight for truth, justice, and the American way by foiling an elaborate, well, it's not really a real estate scam, but I guess maybe it is. Whatever
Making
it is,
land.
it's set up by Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult. I'm not sure if it's possible to spoil this film, but we are going to try. So if you haven't seen Superman, please turn off the podcast and come back after you have. We will still be here. So Chris, as the youngest one here, what is your history with Superman and his various forms, sir?
Wow. Out me immediately. So I had seen Superman Returns in theaters when it came out, which, as I'm sure we all remember, was such a filmic experience that they followed it up with nothing for a very long time. I then proceeded to avoid like the plague, which people don't mind not having anymore, the Man of Steel, which was primarily motivated by the fact that it was directed by Zack Snyder, who, yeah, I liked Yojimbo, or was it Seven Samurai, when it wasn't 5 hours long with Rebel Moon, or all of the other extended horse shit that Zack Snyder throws up on the screen, like that Justice League that we talked about so many moons ago. So my experience with Superman was about that. I went into the new movie having watched the old movies to prepare for the new movie, not having been a child of those movies, not having been a child of the Chris Reeves Superman. Again, that is where we are probably, at least one or two of us are different in that regard, because when I was growing up, I did not watch Superman. I watched those Batman movies. And by those, I mean the one, because as Father Malone knows, I just recently watched Batman Returns for the first time last year. So I was more exposed to other DC properties early on, not so much Superman. And then, post Batman or Superman Returns, again, I've seen Superman in things, but more or less against my will is kind of what it feels like with Batman versus Superman and Justice League movies. I unequivocally had no interest in covering, but covered because somebody's going to want to hear us say something about it at some point. So might as well be as soon as it comes out. But that's my history with Superman. So I am coming into this with no expectations, really. The only expectation I had going into this movie was it actually kind of looked good. Like the guy who plays Superman, David Corenswet, actually feels like a hopeful version of Superman, not like this dour, sad, muscle-bound guy who seems like he couldn't be less interested in playing Superman if he tried. Kind of like Daniel Craig with James Bond. It's like, we get it, you don't like it. Everybody else would love to play this role, but you fucking hate it. Fine. So I didn't get that in the trailers, and I didn't watch the trailers for this movie, which I'm trying to follow your lead in that regard, Mike, because you tend to not watch trailers for stuff. And I will say the trailers for this movie didn't spoil anything either. So there was also that. But that's my experience with Superman. So I'm probably the least exposed of the three of us in terms of Superman and Superman knowledge. What about you, Father Malone?
Well, when I was a kid, there were no DC properties. There were no comic book properties at all. The first comic book character I saw on the big screen was Christopher Reeve as Superman in 1978. I was 5 years old. I'm sure, Mike, you had a similar story. So it was that, and then Superman 2, and then 3, and then 4. I've seen every cinematic Superman on screen since he's been making flicks. To greater and lesser interest and success, I'd say those movies. Pretty much, for me, the last good Superman movie was Superman 2. It might be the only actual good Superman movie, because everything else has been diminishing returns as far as I could tell. What's his name? Brian fucking Singer with his horrible like attempt to sequelize what was already sequelized. You calm down, young man.
Oh, right.
Oof.
That's right. Superman Returns was technically a sequel to what, Superman 4?
Superman
It's kind
2.
of more Superman 2, yeah.
2? Okay.
They ignored
was that
3
one
and
of those?
4.
Okay. I was trying to remember if it was the we cut a movie out scenario or not. That was a very early example of that too, by the way.
Well, and that's on the heels of us not getting the Tim Burton Superman movie that we'd all been salivating over during the 90s. And then, goddamn, I kind of disagree with you. I think Henry Cavill, I don't think he was disinterested in playing that character. I think he wanted to play that character. I just think he was given the fucking most dour universe ever to be Superman in. And who would want to play that version of Superman? Anyone would want to play this one. But I hated those movies. I've said it before. Zack Snyder has read 2 comic books, Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, and that's it. And he didn't understand Watchmen. So he should not have been.
He understood that Watchmen was visually compelling. That was about it. That's it.
Right. He gets surface things. That's why he used every music cue from the book in there. That's why he put fucking Sounds of Silence in there, because he heard it in another movie. It's like, anyway. We are not here to discuss Zack Snyder. Mercifully, his reign is over and all of his fanboys can shut the fuck up now, because I really enjoyed this new Superman. I had a good time, honestly. I have a lot of fucking problems. Nevertheless, this was such a promising step in the right direction. How about you, Miguel?
Yeah, very similar story. I think I have seen every Superman since 78. I mean, I didn't watch, Superman versus the Mole Men or any of those, but as far as
I saw those in a theater. When I was a kid, there was a theater that was a revival house that used to show serials. So I saw the Batman serials and the Superman serials. Sorry.
No problem. Something good to brag about, definitely. And yeah, I can't say I had a lot of hopes pinned to the 2006 Superman Returns. I liked hearing the music cues. My friend Mike Thompson was recalling, oh yeah, when we saw that trailer, we were just so happy about it. And he said, but what if they didn't use the music? What if they didn't use John Williams' score? Would we have still felt the same? Probably not. And they were going all out using footage of Marlon Brando, really. But then they were also using the same lines from the earlier films. I'm just like, why would he still be saying these things? We've already heard him say to Miss Lane that, traveling is statistically still the safest way to fly. It just felt, I like Brandon Routh, and I felt like, kind of like Henry Cavill, he just got shoved into a shit movie. And I mean, I'm not a big fan of Scott Pilgrim versus the World or Saves the World or whatever it is, but the Routh really kind of redeemed himself in that movie for me. But man, oh man, that was just such a letdown. And then every Zack Snyder influence thing. I mean, the only time I think I saw Henry Cavill smile was maybe in his little cameo in the Shazam movie. But holy shit. But yeah, this one, it's definitely a James Gunn film. It felt so James Gunn. It was more James Gunn than James Gunn could James Gunn at this point.
You really think so?
Oh, please. I mean,
James Gunn was holding himself back.
Oh, I disagree.
I didn't realize we were giving our thoughts on the movie either, because I didn't give mine. I thought this movie was a step in the right direction, but just as your foot was landing, you tripped a little bit. Just ever so slightly. It wasn't a full landing, because it wasn't.
I will say that I enjoyed this movie. Absolutely. Yeah. I had a lot of fun with it. Just sometimes the James Gunness of it got in the way a little bit when it came to like Krypto. I was like, okay, yeah, I remember the dog from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the way that he would back and forth with Sean Gunn and all that. And just, the Krypto felt so Rocket Raccoon meets whatever, I can't remember the name of the dog from the third Guardians film, who was also, I believe, in the Christmas special. They're
talking about Cosmo. And yeah, James Gunn has had a fixation with dogs in all of his movies. That's fine.
But now it's his dog. It's his dog now. As
an old Superman fan, look, I didn't think we were ever getting Krypto. And honestly, I didn't want Krypto. So no one was as shocked as me that Krypto was as well presented as he is. Like he was very fun for about 20 minutes. And then I was like, okay, yep. Okay, Krypto again. Let's put him here again at the end. Dude, we get it. You love fucking dogs. We all love dogs. I love Superman. That's the fucking movie I came for.
I didn't mind Krypto. I thought he was cute and everything, but he was just, I kind of wish there was a real dog mixed in with the CGI version of the dog. I don't know if there really was a dog that was used in this film at all. It just felt like pure CGI the whole way through. And
The dog is based off of James Gunn's real dog.
okay, good.
Yeah, like
Good.
literally, yeah. Like I kept seeing my own dog and all the promotional stuff. It's like, all right, James Gunn. Like, all right.
But yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Sean Gunn wasn't in it more. I did like the little voice cameos from some of the folks that were in Guardians, Palm and Michael Rooker, I'm sure, had a voice cameo as some of these super bots that he had. And I like those Superman bots that he had because they really reminded me, I was talking of that whole Tim Burton thing, the Tim Burton ordeal, the saga to get that film to the screen, which never ultimately happened. There were what, 6 scripts, I think, at least, including one by J.J. Abrams, and all of these scripts had different stuff, but they were all so based on the death of Superman, which included the use of a Kryptonian robot that basically merged with Superman to almost be like an exoskeleton for him. And it was very similar to this whole, robot thing that he had going. Oh, it's technology from his other world. But I have to
The
say,
Eradicator.
yes, thank you. Which loves to play squash on Tuesdays against his
Yeah, right.
coworkers. And but I have to say, as soon as they showed that video with Bradley Cooper, I was like, okay, well, I know where this is going. He was sent here to conquer Earth, not to protect Earth. Eventually, that's going to come out. And I just felt that sometimes it was a little too 2025 with all of the stuff about online chatter and super shit, and then seeing all the monkeys with the brain implants and stuff. And I was just like, all right, this is a little much. I kind of wish they had backed off of that a little bit and maybe given Lex Luthor a little bit more space and a little bit more nuance, because he just seemed pissed off the entire time. And I love Nicholas Hoult, but it just felt like he was playing it at 11 the whole way through.
I kind of like that he was playing it at 11 because he was like a rage baiting troll of the kind that you run into gaming online, like an actual like fucking internet troll, but given the ability to actually, use his brain as opposed to just typing the N word over and over again. This guy is much more of a nuanced asshole.
So he's actually lethal in person and thus not like an internet troll at all? He's exactly like a fly. He doesn't have multifaceted eyes nor wings, but he's definitely like a fly.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you have a movie that's as narratively disjointed as this one, and you expect the audience to understand that coming into it, it's not going to be an origin story, which I don't think the issue of it not being an origin story is an issue at all.
Oh, I think that's great. I love that intro.
Fucking A. Get right to it, everybody.
I think it worked really well, but I don't think the rest of the plot, like you kind of alluded to, Mike, does anything other than kind of mire itself in a specific time and place. And we've talked about this before with something like the Twilight Zone reboot, and then something else that the end of this movie, and Nicholas Hoult in a lot of ways, the framing device. And again, I know James Gunn is one writing the script, just like I know who wrote the script for Ghostbusters 2016. The villain in Ghostbusters 2016 was an internet incel. That's what he was. That's who took that movie to task, was internet incels, because they thought the movie wasn't going to be good because women were cast as Ghostbusters. It wasn't good because it wasn't funny. Like Father Malone alluded to with the Zack Snyder fanboys that are just like dragging this movie because it exists. I feel like part of the James Gunn-ness of the movie that I have a problem with, because I think he restrained himself at times with other things that he wants to always do. I think he set the movie in too specific a time and place. And I think, to your point, the 2025 of it all. And it's not and again, I don't want to say the wokeness of it all, because that's a stupid term, but there are things that I don't think necessarily do your movie any service, including them, because they date your movie. And I'm not saying every movie needs to be timeless, but the dating of this movie does not help the movie's cause. And I think it's the muddied plot of the movie kind of goes nowhere, doesn't justify Superman getting involved. And by the end of it, I'm like, I'm just excited for whatever happens next. because that means I get to see this character who I actually like as Superman, this version of Superman, going and doing something else. Hopefully it's not this. Don't make it this.
What plot, I would say. During the entire film, I kept wondering what the plot was, and now, 24 hours later, I'm still wondering. The plot is basically Lex Luthor versus Superman, no matter what the scenario. And
it's not always Superman?
That's fine, and I'm willing to go with that, but I do need to spend a little bit more time with Lex if you're going to tell me that the same amount of screen time afforded to the Miss Tessmacher Jimmy Olsen romance is equal, because what in the fuck is going on? First of all, just personally, I do not like that actor playing Jimmy Olsen. There's something about that guy that makes me think he grew up eating fried bologna sandwiches. There's just something about his face that makes me want to push it in. I don't like him. Nevertheless, I also was like, why are we watching this? I know Lex because I've read the fucking comics my entire life, and I've fucking watched all of the movies and the TV shows and everything, right? And that's fine. So I don't necessarily need to get inside his brain. But as you've said, he is at 11 the entire time. This is the angriest Lex we've ever seen. And I'm good with angry Lex. That's fine. We haven't really seen him yet. But what is actually motivating him? I want one scene where we find that out. Just slow him down for 2 fucking seconds. If that were to include maybe a conversation with Superman that wasn't them just trying to beat the shit out of each other, that could have been welcome. And that only kept getting reinforced every time we cut to this stupid fucking Tessmacher Jimmy Olsen romance. That, I mean, I know it makes sense, the plot, like if whatever plot there is, like that pays off, but who cares? Anyway, sorry.
There were other ways to get around it.
I had to vent my spleen about the fucking Jimmy Olsen bullshit.
Man, Skylar Gazondo, what did he do to hurt you? Father Malone?
He's unappealing.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
that's it.
No,
it's just, you know, he seems a very talented human being. Maybe he's a really nice guy. I don't like the look of him. It's like Billy Zane. I know everyone loves Billy Zane. I get the same sort of ick factor from him.
Robin Wright pen with me. I get it.
I get that one too. I get that. So yeah,
just
all
like,
right.
Yeah, I get it. I 100% get it. I will say, Skylar Gazondo is very funny in the Vacation reboot, where he's just having the shit beat out of him the entire movie. So you might like it there.
That's where I learned. I actually learned to hate him there, because I was like, "This is our Rusty." This.
Oh, fair.
I loved him in that. Yeah,
same.
But it's funny. I mean, we just talked about Vacation for the Chasing Chevy Chase podcast, and I'm sitting there through 3/4 of the movie just going, that kid looks so familiar. Why do I know? And I did like this weird thing where, because he's not traditionally handsome whatsoever, and when they had the very attractive girls waving at him, I was like, are they waving at somebody behind him? And then later on, when they see what Eve Tessmacher looks like, and it took me forever to realize that she was Miss Tessmacher. They just kept calling her Eve through the whole thing. But when they find out what she looks like, and they're like, what is it with you, Jimmy? Like, why are all these girls throwing themselves at you, these very hot women? What is going on here? I kind of like that. I really wanted more Perry White. I really would have liked to have seen more of him. And, you know, I really like the actor that played him, but Wendell Pierce, but it just felt like there wasn't a lot of him. And I guess I am not very smart when it comes to the Superman lore. I kind of go back more to the old radio show and stuff when it comes to the Daily Planet, because I had no idea who this Cat Grant character is.
She's relatively new. Cat Grant showed up in the 80s.
Okay, because I'm just like, who is this little blonde lady who looks kind of like Kristen Chenoweth but isn't, you know?
Yeah, it's an apt comparison.
Yeah. And I don't know, just the
do you think maybe it was overstuffed with characters?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, having
I don't
all
think
of
all
this
the time.
No, but when you have this like bubble that they're in when it comes to the internet, when it comes to the media sphere, and it's almost like I'm done with it. You know, okay, this bad thing happens, then suddenly we cut to Michael Ian Black as Clevis Thornweight doing his whole talk show and all this stuff. And then later on, when they find out that Lex Luthor is a traitor, cut to again, like all the headlines are immediately that. And I'm like, oh, it's the 24-hour news cycle. It's like, how many times, you know, it's not a Barry Sonnenfeld movie, you know, come on. Like, it's just leave it alone, would you? Like,
go to the movies to escape, guys.
Yes.
I go to the movies to escape. And I know that this sounds fucking stupid. And I know it might sound passe, but I don't fucking need to be reminded about how shitty the world is outside in the fucking movies I see. Because holy shit, the world outside is rough as it is. But then it's Superman's dealing with the same stuff I am. Like, fucking cool, I guess. Whoop-de-doo. Like, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, yes, I'm glad we never had Iron Man was a drunk in the MCU. But I think the MCU made the right call by not including that, because nobody wants to see Robert Downey Jr. pretending to be an old version of himself that he didn't fucking, and they avoided.
No, they just pussied out in the second one where they had that one scene with him. Oh, look, he's gone crazy. He's pissing in his thing. So don't think that they fucking avoided that. They just didn't dedicate an entire movie to that story arc. They did. They played that arc out, friend.
But they didn't give it a whole movie.
No, because because nobody wanted to sit there for an entire movie. But I understand what you're saying about the times reflecting the movie, and we want to get away from it and everything. However, all my fear going into this movie was, I don't know that given our fucking current political climate, when the world is on fire, that I can get behind some bullshit fucking like plot line of Superman and Lois Lane and Lex Luthor for the fucking millionth time. So I actually embraced that they were in an oblique way dealing with our current climate and dealing with the current attitudes and the current political machinations that are going on, because ultimately it is a James Gunn movie and it is there to fucking hug you and make you feel good. So if they're going to do it anywhere in entertainment, I want it here, because everything else is going to feel like a fucking ball peen hammer to the skull.
That's fair. But also, do we really want James Gunn to be the arbiter?
In this case, apparently, yes. I mean,
I guess when you piss an entire group of people on the internet off by saying, and I quote, Superman is an immigrant, unquote. I
don't think he's being a rebel. He's not being a rebel there, though. It's like the most basic fucking fact about the man. He's not from here.
That was included in the Dean Cain show, for fuck's sake. Literally. Then the article about it, they quote an episode of that show. Like, it's interminable at this point how much people can't get out of their own way to just watch a fucking movie. It's
interminable that we have to even have the conversation. Like, who gives a shit? What are you all talking about? It's fucking Superman. He is the moral center of this country, and pop culturally speaking, like ever since the fucking 30s, he has been our beacon of hope. And we embraced the fact that he fucking came from somewhere else and could do whatever he wanted and chose to live and enact our ideals.
He disguises himself as someone from Kansas. Right. For God's sake.
He is someone from Kansas.
Exactly. Here's the thing. None of us are adopted. None of us can understand like direct adoption by two parents that are not ours. And that's the other thing that Superman brings, is he's adopted by a family without children to be their son. And then he takes it upon himself to embrace that as a character. And that's part of his character. And in the movie, I think that's probably the best part of the entire movie for me. Those scenes with his family. That's it. There's a lot going on in the movie, but the center and the heart of the movie are those moments back in Kansas. But of course they were going to be great. We have 4 actors who are good actors with well-written dialogue interacting with each other with all the noise cut out and nothing else. It's like an oasis in a sea of close-up shots of David Corning sweat flying through the air.
As Clark Kent was raised in Smallville, Louisiana, right? Judging from his parents' accents.
Oh,
not there. Come on in here, Mush.
They've never been to Kansas, but they know where it is on a map. That was wild. The accents were wild. I was like, people in this part of the Midwest don't have any accents. That's actually the point. That's why so many call centers are in the Midwest, because people don't have accents in the Midwest. So, but they sound like they're
odd choice.
Georgia. Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea of him being an immigrant is what a lot of the Lex Luthor problem is, when he's just
get on the mic.
How dare this alien come to our planet and think that he can do all of this
stuff.
He's a
racist.
He's a total racist.
What is it? That's enough. That's all we need. That should
be enough, yeah. And then this whole thing of the 2 countries that he has fighting and all that, I was like, okay, that's kind of your plot. So what I'm saying is, if I was in the control room, that I would probably turn down the whole thing about the media circus that is going on in our country that we have to deal with every single day, and maybe focus a little bit more on this maybe Ukrainian situation that we have when it comes to all of this stuff. I mean, that is where the plot is heaviest for me. And I'm like, yeah, please, let's stick around with that. And yeah, I do agree that we tend to have a lot of characters in this movie. We are jumping all over the place. And yeah, a lot of people at the Daily Planet, a lot of people hanging out with Lex Luthor, this whole Justice Gang thing. It's like, okay, that's a little much as well. I mean, I would tell me anything about Hawkgirl at all. Anything.
Any one thing. I don't even know which.
She's okay with killing people.
I don't know which Hawkgirl this is. There's a Thanagarian Hawkgirl. There's a Hawkgirl on Earth. Which one was she? Who knows? Don't even know her fucking surname.
Yeah. And then to have the multiple villains and everything, I was like, okay, like maybe one rather than having Ultraman, which made me laugh every single time they said Ultraman, and then the engineer. I'm like, oh, okay. But again, they're metahumans, and if Lex hates metahumans,
but he employs them to. Well, I mean, Lex has always done that. He, yeah. So,
I mean,
but the whole pocket universe thing.
No, well, he hates them, but he employs them.
Oh yeah, of course,
a little on the nose movie.
Yeah, but that's Smallville for 10 seasons. He was using them to, so
yeah. Yeah, I like the pocket universe stuff. I really like the Mr. Terrific stuff. I thought that was great. I kind of wanted a little bit more of Guy Gordon. I know he's insufferable in the comics, and my same friend Mike told me his origin story. And I love this backstory, and I really hope they go more into it when it comes to the Lantern series that they're going to be doing. And I have to say, I was a little delighted when I got to see John Cena in here as well. That one little brief moment of the Patriot I thought was great.
Yeah. And they're going to have to explain that at some point, but I'm glad that we now see that as part of the thing, I guess.
Yeah, they're just going to explain it off as some pocket universe of its own. Here's the thing about pocket universes, and this is always my problem with most supervillains, is that they always introduce some technology to defeat the hero that in and of itself, the patent would make them billionaires beyond their wildest dreams. Lex has effectively a teleporter. Why is there any battlefield at those two countries? He should just march them through his little pocket universe and into the fucking neighboring country. And there, Bob's your uncle. We now rule them. Here's the thing. I know he covered his bases here, James Gunn did, in making that Lex not only wants Superman out of the way, he wants him humiliated. So that's why most of the movie, Lex's plot concerns doing just that, like disgracing Superman. But really, it's a means to an end to get him arrested, to get him into one of these pocket universes. When he has we're spoiling everything, right? He has a clone of Superman that he is under his direct control, who at any time could have just grabbed onto Superman and thrown him into one of these machines and sent him into the pocket universe, and then just fucking shut down the pocket universe.
Yeah, just destroy it.
I love a pocket universe, don't get me wrong. I like the visualization of it here and some of the things they do with it. But as soon as that was introduced, I'm like, okay, well, this is a whole new cosmic sort of situation now. This has repercussions beyond just Lex hates Superman and wants him off planet. Like it made it a little too advanced along the plot, along the timeline of these movies. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, it's also slightly disconcerting for me as someone who has not been a fan of any of the MCU multiverse stuff, for them to be introducing this kind of stuff this early on, knowing how poorly the MCU has handled it. And this is just getting started. Don't, like you said, Father Malone, don't go there now. You can do a kryptonite box with Superman in it. They effectively did that anyways. That was still part of the equation. It wasn't just the pocket universe. It's also, you had to be trapped in a box with a guy who can make kryptonite out of his body. Okay. Why not just do that? And then just bury the ground, bury the box underground or something. Again,
invite Superman and bring Metamorpho with you.
Yeah.
I'm worried because I know the Peacemaker show with John Cena is going to have to explain how he, the original Peacemaker from the DCEU, is now in the DCU, which are two different things, and they're going to have to explain it somehow. And they've already alluded to the fact that
are you really that concerned?
It. It's just I want this to stay tarnished by shit like that, because it's been shown how easily you can just start getting into the weeds of stupidity with multiverse stuff, because the MCU has hardcore.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever do that. I just feel like the Suicide Squad was basically the start of the DCEU.
Agreed.
Or sorry, the DCU, whatever this new thing is called. And I read on Wikipedia that they're calling it like Phase 1 Gods and Monsters or something. Or was that
he
the,
has been calling it since day one. When he got the gig, he was like, Phase 1 will be Gods and Monsters, starting with Creature Commandos. And I'm like, you know what? I definitely want to think about Universal Pictures when I'm watching a Warner Brothers film. Good work, James.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. What do you guys think of Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane?
Loved her.
She's great.
Yeah. I love that she's got a little Margot Kidder in her smile. I thought that was really nice. And I did really like her. And I really liked the scene of them doing the interview. I thought that was great acting on both of their parts. And I thought that both of these actors were terrific.
I knew we were in good hands when she made a choice as Lois Lane to eat an individually wrapped butterscotch candy by putting the entire wrapper into her mouth and then pulling it out and then using her teeth to keep the butterscotch in her mouth. I went, that's great.
I think she's the best contemporary, like you guys said, Lois Lane since Margot Kidder. I don't think they gave Amy Adams enough to do with Man of Steel. And then Kate Bosworth. I mean, that movie just, look, that again, there's no excuses for that movie. That movie is a mess. And Brandon Routh and Kate Bosworth have nothing to do with that movie being a mess. That movie was a mess long before anybody else was brought on board. She's great. I think she's great. I think she can stand up to David Corning Sweat as Superman. Obviously, Corrin Sweat as Superman and as Clark Kent, but obviously more importantly as Superman. And her being able to stand up to Superman is, that's an important part of kind of the dynamic between the two of them, especially with what James Gunn is going for. I like she has a level of autonomy of her own as a character is important because that's kind of always been the point of the character. And that hasn't been as much a part of the movies as it should have been, if it ever has been with anything Zack Snyder did at all.
I can take colorblind casting like Idris Elba as Heimdall, but I don't know where anyone got this idea that it's cool to make Lois Lane a blonde. Lois Lane is a brunette. From now on, let's keep it that way. That is all.
I thought you were going to go after Perry White. I was like, oh my God, what kind of podcast am I on right now?
Oh, no, get out of here. Are you kidding me? Lawrence Fishburne was the last Perry White. I mean,
Well, yeah.
Oh, you know what? They bitched about that too.
Oh, fuck yeah, they did. Jesus.
Well, of course they did. It wasn't enough that he was Morpheus. Okay.
The people who ended up bitching that we weren't embracing Zack Snyder enough initially were bitching that Perry White was black. Let's not forget that about those Zack Snyder fans.
And you could hold a gun against my head and ask me who played Perry White or Jimmy Olsen in the Superman Returns. Maybe I would say Paul Dano. Was he? I don't even remember who these other people were. It's so tough. That
Perry White was Frank Langella.
Oh,
yep,
Jesus. Wow. Right. Thank you. Because I just could not think of
and
that.
And Jimmy
whatsoever.
Olsen was Sam Huntington.
Okay.
Of Dylan. No, he wasn't. Was he in Dylan Dog? With
Dead of
Routh?
Night?
Brandon Routh was, yeah.
But wasn't Sam Huntington or no? Sam Worthington? One of those generic white guys from the mid-2000s was also in Dylan Dog. Yeah. Jai Courtney Worthington.
No, Sam Worthington. Sorry, Sam Huntington was
he was in Jungle to Jungle.
Was he in?
He was in Dylan Dog, Dead of Night.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. There you go.
That's the real Brandon Routh gig that everybody wanted to work on was Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. I was disappointed, Mike, you didn't say that was your Brandon Routh movie of choice.
I saw that in the theater.
Hell yes.
Jesus Christ, how? What theater? The one screening of the one theater in the United States that showed that fucking movie?
I don't know. It just showed up and then I saw it in the paper and went, well, let's go.
That's wild.
He was so good in Not Another Teen Movie, too. That whole scene with the Paul, I can't remember that guy's name, Gleason, the principal from the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Cut it out. Yes.
I think that this might be the, outside of Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, I think this might be the best version of the Daily Planet we've gotten in a while, if ever. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne was good, but again, not given enough to do.
No.
I think it's fine. Like, it's as good as any Daily Planet. Ultimately, how much time do we really want to spend in the Daily Planet and any Superman Unless it's Lois and Clark and we're supposed to be spending time at the Daily Planet.
Right.
As long as everyone's kind of cool and doing their job and everything, great. But let's get out of the Daily Planet. See what they're reporting on.
Let's give James Gunn the opportunity to make a Daily Planet TV show. You know he's champing at the bit. He just wants it.
Mm-hmm.
Give me more. Give me more.
Yeah, you're probably right. They probably will get that, actually.
I mean, yeah. Here's the question, though. Is any of that a bad thing? Or
no.
Yeah, I don't know. The MCU... I don't want to have another MCU scenario where it's like, you got to watch all the stuff to understand the movies. And I don't think James Gunn would do. But that is another concern, is that huge casting of the net and expecting everybody to get on board with it. It's, I don't want to have to watch 4 shows to appreciate your next movie. That's not okay. For again, we might be able to do that, but for casual fans, that's not a thing that I think should be the norm. So that's the other.
Well, I think even Marvel has learned that lesson. I imagine they're going to start backing way the fuck off now.
You mean Moon Knight's not going to be in Avengers Doomsday?
Yeah. Well, speaking of lessons from Marvel, I was really glad that the post-credit sequences had nothing to set up the next movies, unless the unevenness of the building has something to do with it. No, I don't think so. They're just having a conversation. So I was really glad that it wasn't, oh, and here's how we're going to reboot Batman, or here's an email with logos for Aquaman.
Oh, that's a low blow, Mike. Come on. How could you? Oh, it's so fun to laugh again, isn't it? Now that we can make fun of their pain, because it came full circle. They got what they wanted. It sucked, and now they're back in their idiot holes where they belong.
Yeah, I've been hoping for the success of this movie just to shut them the fuck up.
Yes.
I didn't care. I did not care what we got, as long as it was as far from the dour, fucking bleak, just muddy looking, like uninteresting, like these are gods and we're witnessing these gods battling each other. These gods, we're not worthy as mortals. Just shut the fuck up, Zach.
That's why they don't have any good dialogue.
Man,
they don't need to talk. No, Kal-El, or whatever the fuck Gal Gadot says.
At this point, the character's going to shoot lightning. I think we should use maybe Ride the Lightning here. What do you think? On the soundtrack, do you think we can get that?
Oh my God. Lord. What a boner that guy had for needle drops. Just like, I have the budget of a god, so I can just be a fucking child with my needle drops. That's the thing. In this movie, for all of James Gunn's needle droppiness in the past, I feel like he contains himself here.
I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. Now, he does love to have those montages of the hero kicking ass through the entire...
one-shotters, the fake one-shotters.
And, you know, it's very Yondu with the arrow in Guardians, what was that? Guardians 2, right? When it's zipping all around and killing Taserface and all those guys. That reminded me of that quite a bit. But yeah, not the needle drops that we had. Though I had to say that Lois and Clark's theme, every time that they would get together and have like their little romantic moment, I was just like, well, this music sounds a lot like Three Doors Down Kryptonite. Just
didn't it?
Guitar coming in. I was just like, okay. For a minute, I was like, is this Five for Fighting Superman It's Not Easy, or is this Three Doors Down Kryptonite? And finally I was like, no, this is Kryptonite. But I was like, that can't be a coincidence, right?
Oh no. Baked in, I'm sure.
I loved it though. As a child of the 90s who grew up listening to that music, yeah.
Oh, I love that song.
Part of me was secretly hoping that the movie would end original Spider-Man style with Superman or Kryptonite, one of the two. I was just like, they're gonna do it, right? Like, what? James Gunn's not gonna miss this opportunity, and he didn't do it. I was kind of surprised.
Oh, I know. Or that REM cover of Superman, you know, I am Superman. I'm like, yes, do it. Yeah.
No, he would totally restrain himself. He ended with fucking Teddy Bear's Punk Rocker, which is this as obscure a fucking track as you can possibly get. I mean, I know it's Iggy Pop on the fucking vocal, but like, good for him. And that was beautiful, by the way. Listen, that's another thing that I wish had been. Look, I think James Gunn is a good writer as far as themes go. I think he's top of the pops there when it comes to the themes in his movies and setting them up and paying them off. I don't know that he knows plot necessarily. I think his jokes are generally corny and stale, but I loved the circularity of a broken and beaten Superman being soothed by video of his parents, and it's Jor-El and his mom, and then at the end they're soothing him with pictures of Ma and Pa Kent. I loved that. That made me fucking cry when that started happening. And that was the only earned moment of me crying in this movie, because he tried a few times and he did not. Okay, I just wanted to say that, but like there are a couple of unearned crowd pleasing moments, I thought. Like at the start of the war when the little kids are hefting the fucking Superman flag.
Yeah.
It's like we just dropped into this scene. We're just meeting these people. You cannot expect me to stand up and applaud right now. I can't cheer you right now, James. This is coming out of nowhere. There's so many plots and so many different fucking threads going on that how am I supposed to be invested at all here? But he definitely wanted us to, correct?
Well, and when it comes to war, I mean, is that how we fight wars? Is a bunch of people on one side of a hill and a bunch of people on another side of the hill? Is that like
he also
warfare?
said spill all the blood. Like why those we do know that people will just indeterminately kill civilians. So why is that not? Because Superman can't stop all of that at once. Because that's the problem with this as the threat of the movie, is it somehow has made a threat bigger than Superman. So Superman can never get directly involved in that war, which is also kind of a cop-out on James Gunn's part. Because he's involved in the backhand behind the scenes goings on. But because there's no way Superman could stick his finger in every barrel of every gun fast enough or catch every bullet, it doesn't matter. And that's why it's fought that way, because it makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. It's a complete contrivance. And it like furthers that this movie, just in my mind, like the plot of this movie is just a mess, is these like huge logical holes that aren't even plot holes. It's just like a logical hole that makes no sense.
And I really liked it.
Yeah. Well, and that's been the complaint about Superman for the longest time, is like, would he stop every war? Would he stop every murder? Like, could he ever sleep? You know, if he's so concerned about human life and squirrel life, apparently, like, would he go out of his way to do this all the time? And so with this idea of him stopping a war, and I like that happened off screen, again, kind of going back to the beginning with that whole, 3 millennia, 300 years, et cetera, 3 minutes ago. I like that. 3 minutes ago, he was defeated by the hammer of Barovia or whatever this place is. I'm like, oh, that's interesting to see Superman defeated. That's really interesting, and I'm glad it wasn't fucking Doomsday either. Thank you.
But it was just Superman.
It was just Superman, who I think will become like a Bizarro or something. And I know that this character, Ultraman, exists in the comics, but I had no idea until, again, my friend explained to me what was going on. And I don't know, I didn't do any homework for this one, guys. I'm sorry. I just watched the movies. I didn't read all the comics, watch all the movie, the animated films, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know, what the, all of the ins and outs and what have yous of all of these references that are going on. I feel like I'm kind of done with that too. And it's more like, okay, I get the Marvel stuff just because it's what I grew up in. I did not grow up a DC kid, so I don't understand a lot of this stuff.
I was a DC kid until I was full on horror. So I have some grounding in this. But as far as any of the recent stuff like All-Star Superman or, like some of the stuff that James Gunn has been drawing on, no idea. But at the same time, plenty of my friends who are still in the trenches reading Superman and reading DC have assured me that, like, oh, yeah, he took this from here and this from that and this from this and this from that, which is great, because what that means to me is we've got somebody in charge who's an actual fucking comic book fan. At the end of the day, whether or not the quality of it is good, you at least know someone's minding the store as far as the continuity with everything, even if they're not pushing it on us, which he didn't seem to do too heavy here.
I will, our friend Richard Haddam, who was the EP of Titans, which was DCEU, I think.
Yep.
He had mentioned that, some of the people in the writer's room for that show weren't fans of comic books. And I think to your point, Father Malone, like there needs to be a balance. There needs to be people that do love the comic books and are like, completely just involved in the lore and they can tell you front to back. But then you do need other people to temper that with some kind of other expectations of things for the commonplace person to watch a show and engage with it, because you can't make a movie or a TV show like this and alienate large swaths of the audience, frankly, they're making this movie the way that they made it to try and not alienate the audience. That was the intent of this, is to bring in as many people as possible and to treat the audience like they're not fucking idiots for once. I mean, again, we don't need an origin story for effectively, and this is the crazy part, the second most popular superhero, because the first most popular superhero is Spider-Man. It ain't Superman. Spider-Man is the most popular superhero, period. Like, that is, I mean, unequivocally the case. Superman's probably second, maybe third, I don't know, but Spider-Man's the number one, which is why they didn't do Spider-Man's origin story either. But that then leaves a problem of, if you're not going to do the origin story, what do you do? And to your point, Father Malone, about All-Star Superman, the tone of this movie is All-Star Superman, like, maybe not identical, but I'm sure your friends who read it a lot, because All-Star Superman is something I have read recently. The tone of this movie is very much in that ballpark. And it's very, like, elevated, not futuristic, but kind of like in this weird, like, elevated futurism. But then the tone of Superman, and Superman's a little weaker. He's more of a human, less of an alien, which, again, this movie is kind of part of it, is showing that this is a not weaker Superman, but a less strong Superman, which is more interesting because, again, like we've already all alluded to, what do you do with a character that can do everything theoretically?
Right. Yeah, that becomes a problem. That becomes your first season of Lost, where not Lost. That becomes your first season of Heroes, where you've got, you know, the Skylar and the Peter Petrelli, and they basically are invincible, and you have no way of ending that. You know, just like, what the hell are we going to do? And then we just have to kind of look the other way for the rest of the series. And it's like, okay, yeah, like that is a problem. Having an ultra powered person who only has one weakness, and you have to find that excuse to get that weakness. Now, I did like how they had the kryptonite in this. I'm not sure if I really cared for the whole Martian baby, who I kept thinking was like a young Brainiac from the look of him. And then what, did they just hire a guy to sit in that cage with the baby and like wave his arm whenever he needed to?
Yeah, I kept thinking, like, I can't wait. I would like to like jump ahead in time and see that kid at like 10 and the guy's still there, but like they're friends now, and across the cube they're waving to dad, and Superman's still like withered and on the ground gasping, but like giving a thumbs up for the kid's really made an achievement there.
Thank you,
I'm
Father
homeschooling
Malone.
him now. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Father Malone. I thought the same thing. I was like, how fucking contrived is this? That's what I was saying. Like, this is the most contrived way of keeping Superman hostage. So unbelievably contrived.
I like the whole idea of this prison, this private prison that he has in this pocket universe with all of the people that wronged him in some way, but I kind of wish that there had been more of it, and more of who are these people in these other boxes, just even just like quick one-liner kind of things of like who these folks are. The whole thing of them grabbing that poor guy that gave Superman a falafel and shooting him, I was like, what are we doing here? Like, when they face recognized this guy, I was like, is he like a fucking terrorist or something? Like, why is he so important to this story, only for him to come back and get shot in the head for, I guess, giving Superman solace? And I'm like, you're going to start there? Why don't you start with a much bigger target?
I think he was hoping that Superman wouldn't give it up and that he would get to kill him, and then everyone in the surrounding cubes would be reminded exactly how serious Lex Luthor was. I think that meant whoever was coming with him was going to die, and he didn't want information then. Anyway, that's what I would say.
Yeah,
for me.
I mean, that's the version of Lex
that was fucked up. This is the only
Yeah.
time I've ever found Lex Luthor to be formidable and frightening. I've
Agreed.
liked other performance.
Wait. You mean him eating Jolly Ranchers and flipping people in the head and going, the bell cannot be unrung? That wasn't doing it for you?
That sadly did not, nor did fellow creepazoid Kevin Spacey fucking just sleazing it up through that fucking horrendous movie.
It's a good reaction. It's a good reaction gift, though. It really is.
Oh,
it is.
Him with that stupid little Adam Rich looking kid. Oh,
him and his bald cap.
Oof.
At least Nicholas Hoult shaved his head, folks.
Like Rosenbaum before him. Really only two excellent portrayals of Lex Luthor. That's Michael Rosenbaum and now Nicholas Hoult, in my opinion. Everybody loves fucking,
what about John Cryer?
Gene Hackman, and that he was great for that time, but, he's okay.
What about John Cryer as Lex Luthor?
He was okay.
I mean,
what about John Cryer as Lex Luthor's nephew?
What about it?
The dude of steel.
Yeah, I think that was awesome. The creation of Solar Man. Come on.
Boy, Nuclear Man, sir.
Nuclear Man. Thank you.
Voiced by Gene Hackman.
Why isn't the real question is why wasn't there some sort of cameo or nod back to Richard? What is it? Richard Pryor in the fourth one?
Oh, good. The third one. Yeah.
Third one? Is it the third one? Yeah. God.
Yes. Yeah.
Jesus. Richard Pryor, everybody. Can't find a good movie role to save his life, I guess.
We've gone down some bad paths with Superman just in those first four.
Really have.
But yeah.
That's the thing. Like, people my age really only know, like, about Snyder's stuff. Like, those, I only watched the first two Superman movies. I didn't watch 3 and 4. Like, I know they have a reputation. Like, they have a reputation. Like, I wasn't interested in.
Part 3 has one good scene, which is Christopher Reeve separates himself between Clark Kent and a really grizzled and angry Superman, and they duke it out in a fucking junkyard. And it's awesome, beginning to end.
I'd watch it for that, but nothing
YouTube
else.
That shit.
I will. But my point being, like, people my age, I mean, I know people that like Man of Steel, like, unironically.
You know, fools.
I know. Yes. Whatever. It's your choice. You want to like dour and boring and bland and meaningless, fine. But I'm so glad that somebody has said, like, Superman can be a hopeful character again and not be just kind of depressing and sad. Because, look, I mean, Captain America is Superman's Captain America. That's, like, the kind of analog to Marvel. Is they're all that is good in everything. Like, Chris Evans as Captain America. Like, if you saw Chris Evans, if you were broken down on the side of the road and Chris Evans drove by on his motorcycle and didn't stop and help you, you'd be surprised. Because he's fucking Captain America. And that's, like, what he stands for. And as that role that he's taken on, like, that's kind of the expectation now. And, like, I would that James Gunn brought that back.
I would expect Steve Rogers to stop for me. I'm not expecting Chris Evans to stop for anybody.
I mean, you know what I mean. Like, I'm not talking about the actual Chris Evans, but the concept of the character he's portraying.
I will say this: I'm skeptical of every new actor that they cast as Superman, and it takes a lot to convince me if they're any good at all. And very early into this movie, I bought this guy hook, line, and sinker. In fact, this is what actually made me hopeful for it. Is that growing up, when I was 5 years old, we were given the gift of the perfect Superman in Christopher Reeve. It's just like he was grown in a lab. Like they said, make a Superman. And here he was. So seeing this guy and how charming and thoughtful he is in this part made me really happy for kids coming into this character through this bit of entertainment.
And his interviews that he did for the movie where he talks about actually being excited to portray Superman, and he's not bummed that might be the only role he ever has, and that might be the role he's known for. Like, again, I go back to Daniel Craig with the whole James Bond thing. Like, Daniel Craig literally said, I would slit my own wrists if they asked me to play James Bond.
You know what? Ultimately, who gives a shit what the actor has to say? I'm talking about kids fucking interacting with the character of Superman here. Like,
but that's my point. Like, I think he is already a good arbiter for that because the way he approaches the role is, I am excited to portray a role that will cause me to be hounded by kids.
Do you think Daniel Craig's performance was lacking in the James Bond movies for having said that? Do you think he put in less of a performance?
There are times where he seems tired.
In the last movie, I would say there are moments where he seems disengaged and disinterested. But the last movie, the one that came after the statement, he made that statement only before No Time to Die. He didn't make it before anything else. That would be the only time I would say it. I have other issues with those other James Bond movies. That last movie, yes, there are moments in that movie where he seems disengaged and disinterested. And maybe that's not his fault. Maybe that's the movie's fault. But I'm only viewing it through the lens of a person who I recently just rewatched that movie even. And I felt that through multiple scenes in that movie that he's not engaged. But again, that's 5 movies in and he made his intentions clear to the people he was making the movie with. I don't want to do this again. And they were like, well, we want you to do it again, so here you go. So, yes, but not as much as you might have thought, given what my answer was.
I'll agree with tired. I don't think he was disengaged. I think that's actually, yeah.
I agree with you about Christopher Reeve, and I'm just amazed that we almost got Rich Hall instead. And thank God
he got so close.
Callback. Yeah. And he was
If
so
that
much
bullet,
better.
if he had just fucking practiced before that.
Oh no, he got the bullet. He had a dial soap callback.
Oh, that's right. It was Kroger who took the bullet to the face. Right.
Yeah.
Action!
Careful, Clark. He has a gun.
Stand back, Lois. I'll protect you.
Very nice work. Where did you train?
New York, Stellar Adler.
Very good. Okay, Corey, let's try the same lines.
Have it memorized.
Action.
Careful, Clark. He has a gun.
Stand back, Lois. I'll protect you.
Okay, we've narrowed it down to you two.
I love that skit. That's so
Me
good.
too. It's one of the best of that era.
I don't think Henry Cavill was a bad Superman. I just don't think those were good movies.
No, correct.
I mean, again, my feelings on him being dour and all that aside, like, Henry Cavill was a great Superman. But again, those movies didn't help. This movie, I think, helps give the character of Superman more for a certain, like you said, Father Malone, a certain age of audience to engage with the character in a positive way that will make kids re-engage with Superman the way that they really haven't been. Again, like Marvel stuff has really been how kids have engaged with superheroes for the longest time.
I think had they, if they were able to cast 25-year-old Henry Cavill in this role in this movie, he too would have given me the same fucking feeling. It's just that he drew the fucking short straw, man. He ended up in the wrong universe.
Same thing with Brandon Routh, man. I will defend Brandon Routh to the day I die. I think he could have been a great Superman, but he was in a shit movie.
To date, I think really the only shitty Superman, this is nothing political. It's been Dean Cain. Like, he just seemed like a lunkhead. Like, are there others that weren't great? I mean, no.
I started watching that Superman TV show that they had a few months ago and just really didn't get into it. Also, for whatever reason, my wife isn't into the character of Superman. And I think it really comes from this whole thing of he's too perfect and he only has the one weakness. He's, people describe him as an overgrown Boy Scout, and I can kind of see that. And she likes more of a flawed hero, I think. And for me, I'm like, okay, I like this guy and I like his struggles that he has, even though he is so perfect.
And Tom Welling is good in Smallville, but that's Clark Kent. I mean, again, you want to talk about it being Superman? Fine. I mean, it is Superman, but it's good.
Yeah, we never saw Tom Welling Superman, honestly.
No, well, I mean, you see the thing with John Cryer way later, but again, then he's like, I've given my powers up. And it's like, well, okay, like, fuck us then.
That shit didn't count. Rosenbaum wasn't there, so that fucking whole special
true.
Did not count.
That's true. And to your point, if Michael Rosenbaum gets mentioned in the conversation for Lex Luthor, which obviously he does, because he's amazing, then I think Tom Welling gets mentioned for playing Clark Kent. But I think for Superman, I think probably the least, I don't know. Dean Cain's not great.
Just a dunderhead.
I remember watching some of that show just because Terry Hatcher was in it. And wasn't Mark Hamill in there as well?
He was. I actually had a friend who was cast on that show, Lucy Lane. So I got to go to some of the sort of early meetings for Lois and Clark. And even then you could tell Dean Cain was a fucking moron.
But he was a great host of Ripley's Believe It or Not. And to be fair, that's all you have. Just read off the teleprompter, Dean. Just read off the goddamn teleprompter.
You just look at him and go, no, I don't believe it.
No belief there. Yep. He's like the anti-Jonathan Frakes.
Yes.
God. I am so hopeful for whatever comes next. And I don't think that any one of us could characterize our feelings as hopeful after Batman versus Superman.
Jesus,
I mean,
no.
Or Man of Steel.
After Man of Steel, no. Not for a long time cinematically have I been hopeful for the DC. And
it's the DC broadly, even not just Superman.
Correct.
No, man, this is actually exciting now. And, look, I think there were problems with this script. Nevertheless, it was a completed script. And I know James Gunn has been banging the fucking drum that we're not making a movie until the movie's ready to go. We're not going to start a fucking movie and go, we'll fucking write it on the way. Thank you for doing that, sir, no matter where we go from now. And the slate of ones that they've been greenlighting have been unusual to say the least. So we're getting a Clayface movie long before we're getting a Batman movie. That's interesting. He's going
Clayface rated R body horror movie, mind you. Clarify that, because that's the fucking crazy part.
Hey, man, right on. And you know what? We're getting Kara Zor-El. She's getting her own fucking movie. Obviously, it's her dog. So if you love that dog, go watch that one. You're going to get a whole lot of that dog. And partnered up with Lobo. I love that some filmmaker here at the DCU figured out that Superman is automatically a cosmic book. It's automatically a cosmic title. You can throw any alien at him. He is an alien himself. So yeah, let's get Lobo in here already. Let's do it up.
And you know what? I think I don't know if Jason Momoa was poorly cast, but I will say
he is not poorly cast.
No, not for Lobo. I'm talking about for Aquaman previously. Because This is a Chris Evans situation once again. Having seen, and again, you might laugh, Jason Momoa in the Minecraft movie was really good in the Minecraft movie. In the same way Dwayne Johnson was really good in Jumanji, where he was having to play like a very specific kind of character to react to a bunch of other characters. And he was very funny in a way I hadn't seen before with Jason Momoa, because for the most part, I find Jason Momoa's what he brings to Aquaman is just fine. He's a surfer bro. We get it. I'm excited to see where they take that character with a engaged Jason Momoa in that direction, leaning into who I think Jason Momoa probably is in real life. Because apparently Jason Momoa just texted James Gunn like immediately once it was announced that James Gunn was taking over the DCU. And he was like, I'm playing Lobo. Like essentially, more or less was the interaction. So I can't wait for that personally at this point.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for what Gunn brings to this party. I'm excited to see what else he's going to be doing. And I'm glad that we're getting some of these unusual things. I mean, the whole thing going all the way back to Guardians of the Galaxy, so many of these characters, I mean, just the Guardians of the Galaxy themselves weren't known to a lot of people. And he just kind of had free reign when it came to this, new toy box that he had. It was fantastic. Now, the second and third movies, maybe not my favorite, but that first one I thought was great. And I hope this is not a case of diminishing returns as we go forward with the rest of these DCU movies. But I'm still excited right now. I want to see what else this guy does for us.
And I've seen people talking about the Supergirl cameo at the end of the movie and how it's kind of strange and tonally inconsistent with the rest of the movie. Okay, then that movie doesn't have to be this movie. And she's clearly going to be a very different kind of character, which is fine. I really like Millie Alcock, too, from Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. She was fantastic. So if she's the one playing Supergirl, I'm all for it. But I've seen people complaining. It's like, the thing that I'm most excited for is it seems that James Gunn is actually going to do what Marvel didn't do and let the movies be their own fucking things, which is fine, because they don't all have to be Joss Whedon beat joke in front of a serious moment, because that's what all the Marvel movies have become now. We're like, tonally, they're all Joss Whedon movies. And that should never have been the case, because Marvel, like DC, has a wide and diverse array of characters, like Father Malone already alluded to, Clayface, and a woman who's a hawk, and an alien who can read people's minds, and all sorts of wild shit. They don't all need to be tonally the same. And I'm glad that James Gunn is seemingly allowing the filmmakers who are getting involved in the project that he is working on to have their own voice, which Marvel took like 20 plus movies to. Because yes, they cast Kenneth Branagh as the director of the original Thor, but I say cast as the director because Kenneth Branagh's talents were not being put to good use in early Marvel stuff, because they were not letting anybody do anything. And I understand why, but I'm glad that DC and James Gunn are being given they're giving the others involved a little bit more free reign to do their own thing, because I think that should yield a much more interesting set of films moving forward.
Anything else we want to talk about Superman, gentlemen?
No.
All right.
We had good things to say about a DC movie for once. Isn't that weird?
I want to thank my co-hosts Chris and Father Malone. So FM, what is the latest with you, sir?
Check me out at Midnight Viewing. It's a twice-a-week show. It's a horror show, but we veer off into other genres and stuff. There's Father Malone's Weekly Roundup on Mondays. That's a new release, streaming, and in-theater show. And then every Friday, we have a rotating show where we look at horror anthologies of all varieties, including our Tales from the Dark Side coverage that I do with these two gentlemen. So check us out over there check us out at patreon.com/Father Malone.
And Chris, what is happening with you, hot stuff?
Everything that you want to hear that my voice is on is over at weirdingwaymedia.com, where the Kulturecast, taking a little bit of a sabbatical on that show, retooling it and doing something different with it moving forward. So it's taking a little bit of a moment, but you can listen to 600 plus episodes of that show, plus
Yowza.
The Shabby Detective, plus, like Father Malone said, Midnight Viewing, plenty of things that we're not on, like Twisted and Uncorked, or 80s TV Ladies, or Fomentaries, or all kinds
Noise
of things.
Junkies, or
Noise
Night
Junkies.
Mr. Walters.
Right. Two things that HP does on his own now. Or I guess he does Taxi with You, but he does Noise Junkies on his own.
Sure does.
So yeah. And if you want to contribute financially, patreon.com/Kulturecast, where you get access to Mike and I talking about James Bond once a month with our friend Richard Haddam. And Father Malone joins us every now and then. What about you, Mike?
Well, yeah, pretty much the same thing. weirdingwaymedia.com for all of the stuff that I do, all of the things that you can hear other than that one show, which is available at Patreon. So you can get to my Patreon at patreon.com/projection booth. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. And yeah, remarkably, a DC film that we actually liked.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.